Hi, welcome. I feel like I've been having some crazy thoughts lately. And honestly, it's kind of funny because sometimes, everything I'm about to say, because I've been journaling. And I feel like that's where I've been channeling. And then I come to make the videos. And I feel like it's kind of bringing my thoughts a little bit more together. I can... may not be able to see it, but some lights just turned on behind me. And yeah, things feel like the thoughts I've had before, they're almost connecting, and everything's making more sense. And because of everything that has been clarifying for me, I really wanted to share. Where I feel like we already know this, but how perception is everything. Perception's everything. And I used to believe that when it comes to manifestation, that it was very much internal on how I felt, which I still feel like partially it is, but that was creating a lot of doubt because human beings are emotional beings. You can never steady be positive. You can never steady be at a very high energy. It's not how it works. You're balanced. You're gonna move through every emotion. And that's honestly where toxic positivity comes into play, because when I wouldn't be in a high vibration, good energies, sometimes I'm just not in a great mood, and it's just I'm tired, I'm exhausted, things happen, and then it would cause doubt that I'm not gonna get what I'm manifesting because I'm not internally feeling how I think I should feel. Now, also, to think about it, when you do have the things that you manifest, do you not think that you're gonna be in bad, or not bad, but lower emotions sometimes? Do you not think that even when you do get the things that you manifest, that you're not gonna, sometimes feel burnt out? You're not sometimes going to just need a day of rest, just a day to yourself, just a day to kind of be in your feelings? Life is still going on, no matter what. So no matter how you feel, you can still manifest the things that you desire. And again, when it comes to perception, no matter, you determine what is good and bad. And it's literally one of the laws of the universe, where you determine what is good or bad. Of course, there are things that, you probably shouldn't hurt other people, that I think societally is bad. But whether you eat that cookie or not, that doesn't have to be a bad thing. If you had to take a day off from school, a day off from work, doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need that cookie. And for a really long time, quantum leaping was a term where I felt like it was very hard to obtain. I felt like it was something that just kind of happened to spiritual or a more aware, I guess I don't even want to say you're aware, but I thought it was a rare occurrence. And I thought it was an occurrence that's not easy to get to, and that there's so many little critiques and things that you had to do, and it was so complicated. It was how it felt in my head. And maybe this is the same for you if those are the kind of things that you believe in. I believe in quantum leaping. I totally think that could be a thing. There's people that are walking by. This is awkward. That was so funny. They were looking at me the whole time. I don't care. Anyways, back to it. But, you know, again, like, if I need to, like, come back to it. I do believe quantum leaping can be a thing. And I don't know if I feel like I've necessarily have achieved that in my life. I feel like, you know, in certain ways, I think I have. But not to the point where it feels confirmational for me to say it. It feels like, yes, it's happened. But I think before, it was because I always thought it was so hard to obtain, that I have had major changes in my life, but nothing that's been super dramatic, or I don't even want to say scary, but yeah, just like dramatic. And I would always have doubts about if I'm doing the right thing. Like, if I'm not feeling the right ways internally, then, you know, I'm probably not leaping. I'm probably not taking the jump. I'm probably not doing any of this, you know? And I feel like because of having those doubts, it wasn't like what if you're always in a state of like about ready to jump, about like you're actively trying to leap, but your doubts are not allowing it to come to full fruition. Because when things like I think it's more a decision. I think, yeah, I think quantum leaping can be more of a decision than something that just happens to you. Because I started trying that out, and when I say I started trying it out, I mean like yesterday, where it's like I was kind of using like the affirmation as like, okay, like I'm quantum leaping, like the life that I'm living, I love and I appreciate it. I've come to acceptance with things that's happened into my past. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of the things that I've been through. I give myself love and I give myself grace for the things that I'm currently experiencing. But I know that this is not a life that I want to live. And although it's not bad, like, it's not bad, but it's not what I desire. I know I'm worth a lot of great things, just like everyone else. Everyone here watching this video, everyone that you know is worth great, amazing things happening to them. However, you may not perceive yourself to always have to let good things happen to you, or that good things can happen to you. And during a quantum leap, or most changes in your life, whether you want to call it a quantum leap or not, like when you want major change to happen to you, your old ways are going to come back up. Past things are going to come back up in many different ways. And part of it is to let you purge it out. Like it almost has to happen like just one last, not everything, but things almost have to happen like one last time for you to get it out, for you to stop the cycle. And you have to be very intentional about it. Because, you know, your brain is, your mind body's like, it's so used to having those experiences just happen to you. And your brain is almost gonna just like run on autopilot. Like the thoughts are gonna run on autopilot. And then you have to be intentional. You have to step in and recreate those thoughts. And, you know, this can, depending on where you are in your path, like it can be very hard because you have to be very aware of what you are thinking. You have to be very aware during those moments. You have to be like aware that you may be feeling down, and when those thoughts start arising or certain habits start coming up, and you're about to act in ways in which you no longer want to act, in ways that you know your higher self wouldn't act, you have to be very intentional about it. You have to like stop yourself in your tracks. And you can do that. People do this. I've done this. And luckily, like, I feel like I'm at a point now where I've been very analytical about my thoughts. I start feeling certain feelings and I'm like, why am I feeling this feeling? And it has helped. And then there's been times where I shouldn't have been doing it as often as I was, because sometimes I wasn't fully feeling the feelings. I was just like, why? And not just like, because when you do have feelings, you do need to feel it through. You can understand the why, but that doesn't mean that it's going away. You still need to feel the feeling out. You have to cry. You have to be angry. You have to release it in some sort of way, whether it's being creative or working out or literally just crying, somehow being able to release it. Even just talking to somebody. It has to be released. Just like all of those old patterns, they have to come up so that they can be released again. And it's like, I had an example of where, you take someone who is depressed and, they're not just gonna like wake up happy one day and then just suddenly start taking care of themselves. You're not just gonna like wake up one day and then everything's going to be different. No, you have to start, especially when you're depressed, you have to start showing up as if you're someone that takes care of themselves. You start showing up obviously, like, if you're depressed, you're not feeling great internally, but you have to act as if you are feeling better internally in order to get better externally and internally. No, hold on, I feel like I worded that wrong. You have to start acting externally as if you're already better. No, you have to start taking care of yourself externally to feel better internally. I feel like a lot of spiritual people, which I mean, I do agree, but where you have to work internally first in order to see external change. And I do think that is a huge part of it. Do not get me wrong. I do think there's so much truth behind that. But I feel like it's almost talked about a little too much, where we forget that we do have to act externally in order to feel the internal. Someone who is depressed is not going to get better internally if they're not acting better externally. They'll meet on the same level. It's not just one or the other. You have to do both. You have to work on yourself internally while working on yourself externally. There are thoughts, like, your mind's constantly running. There's so many thoughts going on, and you can feed into certain thoughts. Sometimes what I like to think about it is like certain thoughts are almost like a string of a puppet, and then whichever string you pull is which way the puppet's gonna move. Like you being the puppet, and then you get it. And so, it can be hard to be aware of the thoughts at first, but especially with practice, and if you're anything like me, where I'm very analytical about all of my thoughts. Like, sometimes I'm glad I'm very aware, but sometimes it can feel almost like a burden that I'm very aware. Because, if you know better, you want to do better. And, always trying to reach betterness can feel like a burden. Even though it doesn't have to be that dramatic, I guess. You just want to be a good human being. You just want to be the best version of yourself. And, as you become aware to things are changing. Yeah. It wasn't where I was going with this. But when you can become more aware of what your higher self thoughts are, then you can figure out which thoughts to feed and which thoughts to just kind of leave alone, or some I'm not crazy. But like I almost talk back to them, where it's like, hey, I don't have to think that, or like, that's not true because of that, like, this reason. And like, I don't think I'm ugly, but like if that's like a thought that you were to have, then you can be like, well, that's not true because of this reason, and you can kind of make it so that certain strings aren't being pulled anymore. And then it becomes more habitual to think the better stream of thoughts. And I always thought that my higher self was something that like I would have to, that I'd be able to obtain by like a certain age, or she was almost like a gold medal. And reaching your higher self was always something that also felt very far away and very unattainable. But again, it's all about like perception too, where like, that's what I felt like. I didn't feel like I could just become my higher self because I chose to. I always thought it was something that you have to constantly work towards. And I feel like that's something for everyone, where it's like you feel like for your dreams, you constantly have to work towards it. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, yes, but it's knowing that you already have everything now. You already have what you need now. I want to make YouTube videos. I want to be a YouTuber. I want to make money online. Money is part of the goal, but it's like, I also have something to say. Like, I want to be heard. And I want to feel confident about being heard. And I know in this video, my voice is a lot different than in my past videos. I also feel like it's because I have stepped into my higher self, because you can choose to. It's not far from obtaining. It's just a matter of your thoughts. It's a matter of your perception. What I've concluded to be your higher self is a very authentic version of you. It is a younger version of you who's no longer hiding from who they are. It's a younger version of you that feels safe. It is the parental voice in your head that allows you to feel safe, that allows you to feel faith. In some past videos, and a few past videos, I've talked about how I've come to the point where no matter where I'm at, I know I'm gonna love myself. I know the future version of me loves me. I know the past version of me is looking up to me. I know she is proud of me. Like, I'm proud of my younger self. I know my future self is gonna be proud of me for where I am right now, because I'm proud of myself for where I was back then. I know I'm gonna love myself because I forgave my younger self. I have forgiven myself from the past. And so I know that no matter what I do now, my future self will also forgive me in the past. That is where I feel like you step into your higher self, because it is feeling safe to be yourself. It is feeling safe in the actions that you take. I feel like your higher self, this is what I have written down, They're your younger version of yourself that feels safe with your internal parent talking to every version of yourself that's helping you feel safe. It is like you're almost like more complete self. A complete version of you from all timelines that you've been in. From every age, from no matter where you are, it is the complete version of yourself. It is who you are. It is who you are without the mask. It is who you are without the projections of other people. And of course, people can still have their own thoughts about you. They can still, try to project things on you. However, you are not going to act from those projections. Where, you know that someone may not like you very much, so you're going, but you want them to, so you're going to start acting in different ways. You're not going to act like yourself, even though you may, if this person doesn't like you for whatever reason, for whatever stupid reason, because, sometimes people just not be liking for people for just because they're envious or they're jealous, and so then you're moving differently around them, when really you don't need to do that for anybody. If people aren't going to like you just because, or sometimes people just don't vibe, and that's totally okay. But that doesn't mean you need to be moving differently. Act from your highest self, because you know who you are. You've been, I know when I was younger, and maybe most people can feel this way too, hopefully, because everyone's past is a little different from when your innocence started to be corrupted. But you know who you are, and then until that starts being corrupted, and then you have to start acting in certain ways in order to protect yourself, to feel safe. And then you kind of start getting away from yourself a bit, and that literally happens to everybody. That happens to everybody in different ways. However, you do know who you are. And just because, you can know who you are and not have everything figured out. And that is why I always thought that I always had to work on getting myself to my highest self, because I'm I still don't have everything figured out. How can I be my highest self when I'm not financially where I want to be, I'm not necessarily environmentally where I want to be, I'm not where I am in my career. Your highest self does not need to get everything figured out. Your most authentic self does not have everything figured out. What it has is faith in the love and security within itself. It knows that no matter what is happening externally, that internally, it still knows that it is worthy of love, knows that it's worthy of security, it knows that it's worthy of everything it desires, no matter what it sees externally. So no, you do not have to have everything figured out in order to be your highest self. Becoming your highest self will allow you to help figure things out. You will release the doubt. Because you have faith in yourself. You know that no matter how you step, you are going to love and forgive yourself. You are going to be proud of yourself, no matter how you step. And so then it was going to lead you to what you desire. You cannot get what you desire from acting from a version of you that isn't who you are. You cannot get what you desire from acting in masks. You cannot get what you desire from acting in ways that other people want you to act. And, sometimes it's scary because, like, oh, well, like, what if the person that I like, what if I lose the people that I love? What if I, because, like, for me, I feel like I've always had certain insecurities when it comes to the people that love me, where, like, what if I do start acting like myself? I've acted like myself in the past, and that's when I had to put up those walls and barriers to protect myself. But you're older now. And no matter what happens, you are going to love yourself. You're going to be proud of yourself. You're going to feel safe within yourself. That whether if people are there or not, you are going to be okay. That whether if you have this job or not, you're going to feel okay. Your life isn't over just because something changes. And it's hard because you will have to grieve the past. Your life isn't over, but that version of you may be over. You can be thankful for it. You can be grateful for it because, remember, without that version of you watching this video, without that version of you putting in the work to get to where you are now, to fully understanding and fully realizing your full potential, you would have never been here. So you can still give them love and grace and say thank you and let them go. Know who you are. And even if you have a hard time feeling that internally, you can still work on it externally to eventually meet that internally. Okay? You can do it. You can do hard things. Okay? You know better. You can do better. Got this. I love you. Have a good night.